saved. But anyone who refuses to believe will be condemned. And then listen to this. These miraculous signs will accompany those who believe. So if you believe enough to go and share the gospel, here's some of the benefits and some of the plus, the upside, if you will, that's going to happen. If it says that these miraculous signs will accompany those who believe. They will cast out demons in my name. Bam! You've just been given authority. They will speak in new languages. We heard that this morning. They will be able to handle snakes with safety. I don't believe that means picking up rattlesnakes. There was something on Facebook a month or two ago about some guy that got bit by a rattler because he was one of these guys that thinks that that's... I believe that what it's talking about is, again, it says that we can tread on serpents and scorpions. I believe those are demons and spirits. So if I can handle tread on serpents and scorpions, I can handle a serpent, I can handle a demon, I can handle some spiritual entity, and I can deal with that thing. God has given me authority and the power. He said they'll be able to handle snakes with safety, and if they drink anything poisonous, it won't hurt them. In other words, when stuff comes against me, how many of you realize that sometimes poison comes through the mouths of others? And we take it in, we drink it in, we sit there, and all of a sudden we start thinking poorly of ourselves. We start thinking that we haven't got what it takes. And that can be that type of thing as well. It can also be just downright protecting us outright from anything, any attacks upon us. They can drink anything poisonous, it won't hurt them. They will be able to place their hands on the sick and they will be healed. So when it calls for bringing the elders, it's not talking about bringing the deacons of the church. It's talking about bringing people who are believers. It's talking about people who are believers. If you believe, then you have the availability. They will be able to lay hands on their sick and they'll be healed. So if Jamie believes, then he's an elder. He's mature. I can call on him and he can come and lay hands on the sick. Because if he believes that Jesus died for him, that his blood cleansed him from all righteousness, then he's going to believe that the same power that flowed through Jesus Christ is now flowing through him, because the Bible tells us so. Luke 14. Verse 16. It says, man prepared a great feast and sent out many invitations. When the banquet was ready, he sent a servant to tell the guests, come, the banquet is ready. But they all began making excuses. One said, I've just bought a field and must inspect it. Please excuse me. Another said, I've just bought 5 pairs of oxen and I want to try them out. Please excuse me. Another said, I now have a wife, so I can't come. The servant returned and told his master what they had said. His master was furious and said, go quickly into the streets and alleys of the town and invite the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. After the servant had done this, he reported, there's still room for more. So his master said, go out into the country lanes, behind the hedges, and urge anyone you find to come, so that the house will be full. For none of those I first invited will get even the smallest taste of my banquet. I read this and I'm looking at it, and I see that sometimes we in the church can be filled with excuses. Why? Because we've lost the urgency for the lost. We've lost the urgency for the sinners that are around us because we're content. We've got what we need. But God is saying to us, He's going, no, He says, when those people start to deny like that, I look at it what it said in Ezekiel. And God spoke to me and He said, you're my Ezekiel. And I started to read. And the Lord said, it says in Ezekiel 3, it says that if I don't go to those people, their blood is on my head. That's a strong word. If I don't go to those people, their blood is on my head. Church, if we don't go to the lost, if we're not doing what we're called to do, if we're not sharing the gospel, the love of Jesus Christ, that He died for us and rose again, then we're like these people. We're just sitting there, we're making up excuses. We're making up excuses to not be a part of the Master's party. The servant returned and told his master what they'd said. His master was furious. I don't want God to be furious at us, church. I want God to be excited about, look at what those guys are doing in Port Hardy. They're telling anybody and everybody about my love for them. They're telling anybody and everybody about the life-giving force that flows through Jesus Christ and the cross and the blood that cleanses them. He says, go quickly into the streets and alleys of the town. Bring in the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. Think about that. What could that mean in the context of society today? The poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. You've got people that can't see. He said, I've come to bring sight to the blind. I've come to set the captive free. I've come to defeat the works of the enemy. So when we see these kind of things that are put in here, that they've come to invite the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. In other words, go and get those ones that the world has cast aside, or they think they've got defects, they think they've got problems, they think they've got things that separate them. And instead, I want you to go and I want you to bring those very people in for me. You can take this and you can liken it to the Israelites and the Gentiles. I mean, there's all kinds of ways it ties in. And he says there's still room for more. So the master said, go out into the country lanes, behind the hedges. Urge anyone you find. Urge them. Not just, just come to church sometime. Urge them. Like, dude, I just want to see you in church. Like, God loves you. Like, you just, like, start to think about what can I say to